I want to clear up a lot of confusion and misconceptions around basketball training. So, parents, we love you guys and I respect you guys, but there are some things that I've noticed throughout my years of training and from talking to other trainers and coaches that parents don't quite understand that comes when it comes to training and developing, whether it's on the skill side or the strength conditioning or performance training side. Yo, what is going on, man? I am B-Ball Jones. I am simply a basketball trainer that is here to bring you the blueprint, the stories, and the mindset to help you make progress in your game. Appreciate you tuning in. Let's get it. So, number one, the first thing I want to clear up is that yes, we are amazing. A lot of us are just awesome at our job, but we're not miracle workers. Like we can't just snap our fingers and change them in a couple weeks or even just a month. Now, I can make changes, but that doesn't mean it's going to be a long-term change or it's going to be something that you notice in the game like you want it to. It'll take a little bit longer for that. So we're not miracle workers. We can't snap our fingers and just pull some magic trick and make your athletes become better players or just transform overnight. A lot of times it's not going to be long-term success that you're looking for. So yes, we can get them better. We can make their skills better, but it's not going to be the long-term success that you're looking for or the skills that are going to translate over into their game. So yes, they look better in training. Yes, they look better at these drills, but are they getting better in the game? And it's going to take a little bit longer than a couple weeks or just a month to get that transition from practice or from where they are to the next stage or next journey or next phase of the game. And then number two, we need to have consistency because number one, like I talked about in the first part, we can't have that transition over if we're not consistently working with them. If we're working with them every other week or we're working with them one time this week and then two times the next week and then they miss the third week, it's hard for us to develop that growth if they're not going to be there because we can't input as much as we need to. You can't have consistent outputs without consistent inputs. So imagine if you all were to go to your job. You're supposed to be there 5 days a week, 40 hours, however that works out for you. But you only go one day this week. The next week you go three. The week after that, you go to two. And the week after that, you go four. Imagine what that paycheck's gonna look like. You're not gonna go to your boss and be like, hey Larry, what's up with my money? Looking pretty short here. Why don't I have my full paycheck? I I'm expecting to have X amount of money. I'm paid this much and I'm supposed to have this money. Larry goes, oh, hold on, let me see real quick. They go back and look at your hours and say, well, you didn't put in enough time to get this outcome of money. Same thing with training to where you can't expect players to come in and train once or twice a week for the entire month and think that's going to be it. That they're just going to have the same gains or same output that other players are having when they're training pretty much every day. So if you're going to look for Kobe Bryant level output, we need to trust us and let us have the same level of input with the athlete because it's difficult to grow if you're inconsistently having the inputs to have that same outcome that we're looking for. So we have to be on the same page when it comes to that. Number three, and I know this a lot, and I understand for a lot of parents this is a struggle, so I'm not trying to knock this, but there's this misconception of that cheaper is good enough and that more expensive means better. So I'm not saying these things aren't true, but what I'm saying is they're not the full truth. Just because a trainer is cheaper doesn't mean that they're good enough. There might be a reason that they're cheaper because they're not as good, or they're cheaper just because they just don't charge that much. Both things can be true. Or trainer can charge more because they're worth that, and a trainer can charge more just because they're allowed to. It's their business. But it doesn't make them a better trainers because they charge more. It doesn't make them a lesser trainer because they charge less. It could just be the dynamics of what they have going on. So monetarily, I get it because we attach value to things that are more expensive. So we look at a Benz or a Lexus or a Ferrari, Bugatti a little bit higher than we do a Honda or a Hyundai or a Ford or whatever because it costs more. We put a different level. We attach this different label or tag to it mentally because it costs more. Same thing transitions to training to where just because one trainer is cheaper or one trainer is more expensive, they could be the same level, same tier of trainer. They just charge different things. So we have to be, I want to help you guys be more mindful of that just because this is what they charge or what they don't charge doesn't make them automatically a better trainer.
And I have to add this too, that you get what you pay for. A lot of times we try to cheap out on things because we look at two things and they're close enough in our eyes that I'll just take the cheaper option. A lot of times that cheaper option is cheaper for a reason. So I know it might be confusing to say earlier that just because they're cheaper doesn't mean not as good. But at the same time, you get what you pay for. So I just have to be mindful of things. You might have to invest a little bit more into the trainer because they're a little bit better. They know a little bit more. Expertise is a little bit better. They see the game a little bit different. They're able to teach things better. They offer more things. So I know it can be confusing and that can be a daunting task to figure out the difference between trainer A and trainer B. If trainer A is more expensive than trainer B, it means trainer A is better. Or if trainer B is cheaper than trainer A, then that means I'm just going to go with them because it's just training. It's not going to be that big of a difference. But that's not true. Not every time. I know it's very wavering because situations are so different from trainer to trainer. Some people are doing this full time and that's their main thing they're trying to live off of. So that's why some trainers will train more because I need to make a living off of this. But I'm not doing it for the money. I'm doing it for the fact that I need to make a living out of this. And some trainers have it to where this is their part-time job and they have enough money coming in from other things to where they don't want to charge as much and they don't have to charge as much. So it's just really a case-by-case scenario. But at the end of the day, be mindful and be very aware that you get what you pay for. So you can't be mad when you go to a trainer that's $5 an hour and you wonder why that your child's not getting better. Then you're like, man, this guy over here, it costs $80 an hour and you're still not getting results. It is what it is, so it's a daunting task to do your due diligence to figure out who's good and who's bad and who's more forthcoming and who's a quality trainer as far as integrity and character and actually able to be the trainer they promise that they're going to be or that they market themselves to be, to able to get results. And then have the same thing when you're talking about the financial part of it too. So it's a daunting task, but I had to put this in there that you get what you pay for.
And this next one kind of goes back to what I was saying about number 2, is that you can't just come and go as you please with trainers. So you can't just say, hey, we're going to come in and out and just train this day and pull our chain around like you're in control of things, because we have to have some ability with what we're doing too to help you all grow. It's not just us over here trying to be hoarders of kids or making this a selfish thing about me. It's really just the fact that we need stability to develop a relationship with the kid. If that's the trainer's prerogative initiative is, we need to develop it even just on the development side of the player getting better. So let's look at it on the weight room side to where if we're training to get this player faster, you can't just come and go with this athlete as you please to make it seem like we're just freelancing and you're able to just, oh, we'll come this day, we'll come Monday, and we'll think about Wednesday. Like, no. We need to try to get 2 days a week in here to get them faster by the time the season comes up. Or we're trying to lose some weight, so we need to make sure that they're in here consistently because we can go through these progressions and see if they're getting stronger, if they're getting weaker. I mean, they might need to change this workout for that workout. So you can't come and go as you please because that messes up our training system to make sure that the athletes are getting better. Hey, hold on. Time out real quick. We're going to get back to the episode. I know you're enjoying it. I know you're enjoying the show. But I need you to help me real quick and to make sure that this episode can grow, make sure that this podcast, the show can grow overall, and you can keep getting great guests like this. Make sure that you subscribe and follow along. So if you watch right now on YouTube, help me out by hitting the subscribe button. Go ahead and do it real quick. If you're listening in your car, chill out for a second. If you're on Apple or on Spotify, just like when you get a moment, hit the follow button, but not right now while you're driving. If you're working out or something, or you're still in your room, then go ahead and subscribe with me. Like, help me help you, okay? But thank you for watching. I really appreciate you. I'm going to stop interrupting so you get back to the episode. Thank you. Every session doesn't mean we're going to go crazy or go to 100. So I've had a lot of times where the parent will say, hey, we're tired, or we had a lot going on, or we don't want to burn out, so we're just going to skip this session. And in my mind, I'm like, we're not even close to going like game speed with stuff. Just because we're in the learning phase of it. Like we're trying to work on changing your shot. So the session can be a very light session, and we're just doing very light drills or some light ball handling things to kind of get them in the reps of going. So a day off doing absolutely nothing versus a light training session with the trainer who knows what they're doing can still be two worlds apart of what they're doing, getting better. So I'm not trying to say you don't need days off at all. They shouldn't be doing nothing, and that's not allowed. What I'm saying is a lot of times parents perceive the session like we're going to a session, we're going to be going to 10. We're going to be going 100 miles per hour the entire time. It's not the truth. A lot of times I'm catering to what the player needs. A lot of times they'll come in and just mentally they're not there, they're not feeling it. I have to tweak it for that. Sometimes they'll come in and they'll not feel it and they'll be a little sluggish that day. Have to tweak a little bit, or they'll come in and they'll be tired because they had weights that morning or they already had practice early that day. So I have to change my stuff going on for what they have. Or maybe we'll come in a day or two after the game and they're still tired or sore. So I can't go full skill session of small sided games and doing all this running up and down I want to do. As me as a trainer, I have to adapt to what my athlete brings me. So I don't want parents to mess up the growth of the athlete by thinking, oh, we're going to miss out on training session because they they're tired or they're sore, they had a lot going on, so they're going to rest. Well, you can rest and still be productive too. That's in the hands of a good trainer to make sure that they're not going to be overworking the player and the athletes where they can still have long-term success and growth within this short-term moment. Now on the strength and conditioning side, the SNC side, the idea that they don't need it, I really hope we can get away from that and stop thinking that they still do need some level of some weight room work. Now that does not mean they have to be squatting 300 pounds, 500 pounds. This isn't football, but they do need some level of performance training and lifting going on. Like there's so many different aspects within strength and conditioning or performance training that the athlete needs that they're going to miss out on by not having it. So I'm not saying they have to come in there and we have to be benching every day and squatting and all this heavyweight and deadlifting, all this stuff. I'm not saying that. But we can be working on a lot of different things with strengthening their ankles and the knees and the shoulders and the core. You can work on doing things that help their vertical jump or help their mechanics and help them, whether it's their footwork. That there's a lot of different things you can do within the weight room that isn't going to be this big muscle building grinding stuff. So they do need some level of that work. So I know the famous quote is Allen Iverson saying that stuff is heavy, I don't lift. I know KD said he's famous for changing the view of what the weight room does for hoopers. I get it, I understand. But if you look at KD now versus when he first came in, totally different player. A lot bigger, a lot stronger. It's some weight room effect being done to him. And I guarantee if AI would have been able to get into the weight room, he might have had a little bit more healthier seasons and he might have had a little bit extended his career a little bit longer, just a little bit. Not saying he would have not still been a Hall of Famer, but he might have took another step and had better career stats and things could have might have turned in his favor and get a ring at some point because he's in the weight room. So I'm not saying that we have to absolutely do it, but I'm not saying that you guys can just avoid it and think everything's going to be okay, especially in the day and age when more athletes are doing it. So at some point, you're going to get left behind because there are people who are coming in unathletic and very weak and fairly skilled athletes and still skilled hoopers, but now they're coming at the next level because they're going to be healthier, going to be stronger, be more durable because they're in the weight room now. But that leads me to my next point. Just because we're in there does not mean they need a football level strength and conditioning program. They're not the bigger, stronger, faster mindset. The size is not everything, especially on the guy's side. Like your son does not have to blow up me LeBron or Zion Williamson. Steph Curry is a slimmer frame guy, still very strong and still very built. Kyrie Irving is not the biggest athlete, but he's still handling business. Look at all of these point guards, besides like a Russell Westbrook, and tell me which one of these guys are just muscle bound and big and bulky. Same thing for my two guards. It's only a handful of guys in the league that are just like you look at them and it look like they could be playing different sport. Like look like they could be playing football or rugby or something else that's more physically taxing on them. Basketball players don't need all this size and this mass. Now some of them do. If you're more of a banger, if you're trying to be Shaq, then hey, we're gonna throw a muscle on you, we're gonna bulk you up and make sure that you're stronger. If you're coming in as a twig and you have no muscle to you absolutely at all, Then we're going to look at bulking you up some, but we're not going to turn you from Kevin Durant to Zion Williamson. It's not the game plan here. So we have to understand, yes, we do need the weight room, but we don't need the weight room to make us into be the Hulk. We can still grow without having that much of a change in our game. And this might be more for the players, but tired or sore does not always mean that you're doing a good job. There are times where the focus is going to be on smaller, more intrinsic things. So it might be more of a mobility session or more of a restorative or recovering session. So that day, we're not going to get sore. We're not going to do as much taxing work. And some days, even if we are coming in and doing more of a full body lifting workout, we're trying to get after certain things. Sore does not mean you had a good session. Anybody can come in the weight room and just get sore. That's not the most amazing thing to do when you're working out. So we have to stop equaling or making our mind translate or getting a connotation that my son or daughter came home very sore. So they had a great workout, had a great session. That just means that they were able to get sore that day. They burned their emotions out that day. And the reason why is because going back to what I was saying earlier is that you can go to 100, but if you're going to 100 every day, there's a good chance you can burn out, and that can lead to injuries. So a good trainer, a good coach can look at it and say, hey, we're going to go to 10 this day. We're going to boil down to an 8. We're going to go down to a 6. We're going to go back up to a 7, 8. And then that next day, we're going to go back to a 10. But if every day across the board is a 10, every day across the board you're getting sore, that doesn't equal you have a good session. That's not the full truth of what it means to be a good strength and conditioning coach or performance trainer. That just means you got sore. Anybody can come out and get your players sore. We can just do some crazy workouts, some crazy exercise, and get kids sore. So it's balancing that, the quality of a workout based off sometimes it's just leaving that day feeling good. So you can get good reps in and still go through a good workout, but sometimes you leave out there feeling good and just feeling like you can conquer the world versus just being sore. We don't want to break the body down and beat it up. We want to make them be better athletes. At the end of the day, that's the goal, to make them be healthier and better athletes so they can transition and be better hoopers. All right. Okay. Another timeout. Okay. Look, if you got to this point, you have to be enjoying the episode. Like, you have to. At this point in the episode, you're enjoying it. So help me help you. Just if you're on Apple right now and you're on your phone, okay, just take your phone, press the subscribe button. It's right there. Just do that with me. Even if on your laptop, take your mouse, boom, click over, boom, do your thing. Now you subscribe. Now you linked in, because you don't want to miss the next great episode that I have. But doing stuff like this helps the episode grow, makes the show grow, and the podcast grow, so I can keep getting great guests and keep doing great interviews. So if you listen on Apple or Spotify, take a second, look at your phone, press the follow button, okay? And share with a friend or two, because you'll find the value in this. You want to have this conversation with your friends so they can have the same value. Now the whole basketball community can grow. All right? Thanks for listening so far. I'm going to get out your way. Let's get back to the episode. Appreciate you. Next is that it's not one size fit all when we're talking about programming and designing workouts. Every body is different. Every physical body that we look at is going to be different. That means every body or every athlete that we have come in is going to be different. So we can have 5 kids come in, I put them on the exact same program, exact same track list of what we're going to do for the workout, and all 5 get different results. That's just the way it goes. And so you can't compare, even on the skill side, that the changes in the growth that a player has versus another one. So we can all have all these kids come in and do the same thing because of their background before they came in, or the things they're doing off the court, because one player is eating better and the other one's not, or one player is resting better and the other one's not. So many different factors go into the development and the phases that hit throughout the training program. The results that you get will waver because of so many different factors that go into it. But one of the biggest ones is that the fact that the body is just so different. So you can put, like I said, 5 different athletes in, and then one come out looking like Zion Williamson because his body just naturally adapts to becoming that. You can have another one come out and almost nothing changes just because it wasn't pushing them hard enough. You have another one come in and they lose weight. It depends on what their body comes in with, and their body's going to adapt and change differently based off who they are and where they are in their life. And last but not least, the 10th thing is that the weight room is not everything. It's not going to be the end all be all of an athlete. Because once again, basketball is a very skilled sport. So if you're not going to be on the court, it's going to be very difficult for you to get better. Yes, you do need to hit the weight room. Yes, it's going to help, but it's not going to be everything for the athlete. Now, it can be the big game changer, especially if you went from zero to actually doing it. You will see changes, you will see growth, but it's not going to be like, oh, we're going to shift all of our attention over here to just doing weight room things. Like, no, no, no. We still need to get the skills. We still need to be able to shoot, dribble, pass, and play defense. You still need these things. So you can't just pivot and say, we're going to go weight room crazy. Now, we can say we need to do more weight room things in addition to the court work because that's what they've been lacking. They've been getting so injury prone, or they're so weak, getting bumped off their line, or they can't take contact when they're finishing because they haven't had any weight room work. So if you go from zero to something, you're gonna see a lot of change. But we shouldn't go from just doing the skill work and court work to now mainly doing weight room and performance training work. It's going to help, but you still want to have a good balance depending on the athlete and where they are whether it's off season or in season, whether they are playing another sport or not. All these things matter, but it's up to us as coaches to do a good job of preparing them for these things. But it's up to the parents and the athletes to understand that we need a good balance of both of these things because we're not just basketball players, we're also athletes. So we develop the athlete on this side and the basketball player on this side, but put it together to where they're performing of who they would need to be and where they need to be. So these are my 10 things that I said and thought about between the things I've seen and kind of had conversations with parents about from what I was observing, had conversations with other trainers and coaches about that parents and some athletes just don't fully understand and get. So these are a lot of things I wanted to help uh, bring a lot of clarity to when it comes to being a trainer or a coach in this profession in this game of basketball. So let me know which one hits home for you. If I miss anything, if you're a trainer or a coach and I miss anything, let me know, comment on it, and let me know, help me out so I can help everybody else out. So if you've got to this point, I appreciate you for tuning in. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. See you on the next one.